Moses' idea. This is God talking to Moses. It says, take vengeance on the Midianites for the Israelites. So this was a commandment from God. This was God's order to Moses. Go do this. So Moses said to the people, arm some of your men to go to war against the Midianites so that they may carry out the Lord's vengeance on them. Send into battle 1,000 men from each of the tribes of Israel. So 12,000 men armed for battle. 1,000 from each tribe were supplied from the clans of Israel. Moses sent them into battle, 1,000 from each tribe, along with Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the priest, who took with them articles from the sanctuary and the trumpets for signaling. They fought against Midian as the Lord commanded Moses and killed every man. Among their victims were Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. They also killed Balaam, son of Beor, with the sword. The Israelites captured the Midianite women and children and took all the Midianite herds, flocks, and goods as plunder. They burned all the towns where the Midianites had settled, as well as their camps. They took all the plunder and spoils, including the people and animals, and brought the captive spoil and plunder to Moses and Eleazar the priest, and the Israelite assembly at their camp on the plains of the Moab, by the Jordan across from Jericho. Moses, Eleazar the priest, and the leaders of the community went to meet them outside the camp. Moses was angry with the officers of the army, the commanders of thousands and the commanders of hundreds who returned from the battle. Have you allowed all the women to live? He asked them. They were the ones who followed Balaam's advice and enticed the Israelites to be unfaithful to the Lord. In the Peor incident, so that a plague struck the Lord's people. Now kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourself every girl who has never slept with a man. I'm going to stop right there for a second. Do you kind of get an idea of what just happened? So God commands Moses to go attack the town of Midian. Moses doesn't want to go himself, so he gets people of his under him to go do it for him. And 12,000 men go to this town. When the men get there, they were commanded to kill everyone, but when the men get there, of course they rob anything worth keeping. But they don't have the heart to kill the women and children. They kill all the men, but you know, these guys are human beings. They just don't have the stomach to go kill these little kids and these women. So they bring them back along with all the cattle and the donkeys and the sheep and the gold and the silver and everything else they stole from these people. And when they get back, Moses says, why you let the women live? He's irate because they didn't kill everybody. So we'll continue. Anyone who has killed someone or touched someone who was killed must stay outside the camp 7 days. On the 3rd and 7th day you must purify yourselves and your captives. Purify every garment as well as everything made of leather, goat hair, or wood. Then Eleazar the priest said to soldiers who had gone into battle, this is what is required by the law that the Lord gave Moses. Gold, silver, bronze, iron, tin, lead, and anything else that can withstand fire must be put through the fire, and then it will be clean. But it must also be purified with water of cleansing. And whatever cannot withstand fire must be put through that water. On the 7th day, wash your clothes, and you will be clean. Then you may come into the camp. So, obviously, these guys were rough after enduring what they just had done. So they wanted everything cleaned. But keep in mind, one point that I didn't really cover from the earlier was that, you know, he had to kill every little boy. And they had to kill all the girls who weren't virgins. But tell me, how do you think they knew who were virgins and who weren't? Did they check? Did they have to check for a hymen to know whether they were virgins or not? Or do you think they just asked them? Do you think they said, hey little girl, have you had sex yet? Oh, what were they to say? And then think about the scene. There are thousands upon thousands of women and children, along with all these animals. And we're going to get into just how many because they're about to tell us. But then, do you kill the kid? Do you kill the little boy in front of his mom? Or do you kill the mom in front of the little boy? I mean, what did that scene look like? It was one thing to go to war and go to somebody else's town. But now you've met at the banks of the river. You've met Moses, your commander. And he said, kill everyone else. Kill them all. And there are thousands. Here's the counts. Get ready. Dividing the spoils. The Lord said to Moses, you and Eleazar the priest and the family heads of the community are to count all the people and animals that were captured. Divide the spoils equally between the soldiers who took part in the battle and the rest of the community. From the soldiers who fought in the battle, set apart as tribute for the Lord, 1 out of every 500, whether people, cattle, donkeys, or sheep. Take this tribute from their half share and give it to Eleazar the priest as the Lord's part. From the Israelites, half select 1 out of every 50, whether people, cattle, donkey, sheep, or other animals. Give them to the Levites, who are responsible for the care of the Lord's tabernacle. So Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord commanded Moses. The plunder remaining from the spoils that the soldiers took was 675,000 sheep. 675,000 sheep. 72,000 cattle. 61,000 donkeys. And 32,000 women who had never slept with a man. So, if there were 32,000 little girls there that were virgins, how many little boys were there? How many other little girls who had been molested by a family member or by a relative or by, a stranger? And that would have made them not a virgin. They had to die. All the moms died. All the little boys, teenage boys, 8-year-old boys, all of them died that day because God commanded Moses to do it. 675,000 sheep. So can you imagine this? And I can picture this in my mind, and I think it would make an amazing movie. You have a field next to a river, and you have 675,000 sheep. You have 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, and you had all of these people. And you had wagons upon wagons of plunder of the things that they stole from this town. Can you imagine all the soldiers that fought? And then all of these women and children and all of these animals. I mean, can you imagine what that looked like? It must have been a sight to see. And what a job to bring all of that back. So he goes into like the half shares, and I'm not going to really read through this because it just takes the 675,000 and divides it by 2, because these half shares of those who fought in the battle was 337, 500 sheep, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read this part because it's just counting. I'm going to go on to verse 48. Then the officers who were over the units of the army, the commanders of thousands and the commanders of hundreds, went to Moses and said to him, your servants have counted the soldiers under our command, and not one is missing. So we have brought as an offering to the Lord the gold articles each of us acquired, armlets, bracelets, signet rings, earrings, and necklaces. reason why Jews were hated early on. I mean, this is thousands upon thousands of years that this hatred has been going on, that they've been fighting over there in the desert. You know, if we make the assumption that this story actually happened. Now, this story might have happened, but did Moses just say the Lord was telling him to do this stuff? You see, Moses was a man. If this story is real, Moses was a man. We can say that all of this happened other than one part, that God told Moses to do it. Moses told his men to do it. But maybe Moses just did it out of survival. They knew they were running out of things. They knew of another community that was able to be ravaged and have all of their stuff taken so that they could, thrive. It was a battle. It's like that was the thing to do back then, was to just go and steal. It was a survival skill. And, to me, I don't like the idea of worshiping a creator that would order the slaughter of that many people. The women and children especially the little kids. I find it unbelievable. I truly find it unbelievable. And it was really stories like this when I really dug into the Bible and I really started finding what I felt was like evidentiary information. Like, do I want to believe this? Is this something that I can preach to people and say that this is really the way our God, our Creator, this is who He is, and we need to bow down and worship Him? I just have a hard time doing it. And so, obviously, I know the risks for me. I know the risk of not believing this and not following through. He will do to me what He did to those people. He will destroy me. Only, I won't just die. After I die, not only will I have to die, but then I have to be tortured for eternity for being such a bad person. He'll burn me, and a million years later He'll lift up the lid and He'll look in there and He'll say, nope, you've not paid for those 50 years on earth, or however long I live. It just seems so wrong to do that to people, especially in a world that you created, that you made very difficult to deal with. Life is not easy. There's so many different messages and choices. And think about like Indians, and I don't mean like American Indians, but like the country India. They're Hindus. They're majority Hindus. There are Christians and Muslims there too, but they are majority Hindu religion, and they are beautiful people. They are peaceful for the most part. I mean, like us, they have their problems, and they have their fraction of society that murder and rape and all the garbage that bad people do. But that whole country will, 95% of that country is just going to burn in hell for forever. Thousands and millions and billions of years they're going to burn and never to escape. To me, when you say like, go forth and spread the good news, this is not good news. This is not good news. Think about walking up to somebody who has never heard about a religion before, and you go up to them and say, hey, do you know how you got here and what happens to you when you die? Well, see this book. This is what happened. God created the earth in just a few days. And, I'm sorry, I gotta change this screen. Okay. So, he said God's, He's got it. He created the world in 6 days, and He rested on the 7th, and here's the whole story. And then at the end, He's gonna come back, and He's gonna take the good people, and He's going to destroy all righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will not see the kingdom of heaven. That's a pretty high bar. So, there's so many things, that, women were not allowed to preach. They were told to take their place and be quiet and just honor the men and serve the men. But today, women preach. Well, it would have never been allowed in Jesus' time. Never. Gay people, this is not my opinion, but God considers it an abomination. And it says, if a man lies with another man as he lies with a woman, that is detestable. Both of them shall be put to death. Now again, that's Old Testament. But he never comes out in the New Testament and said, okay, it's okay to do all these things. Thou shalt not kill is Old Testament too. So, it's just a really strange thing, and it's such a huge topic, and at the same time it's controversial because I love the culture of Christianity in the sense that it's a community and there are some good morals in it today. Obviously the story of Midianites was not a good moral story, but they don't spend much time in the Old Testament anymore. They like to hide those parts, but think about that story about saving the virgins. People want that book in schools. I don't know that that's appropriate reading for like an 8-year-old. Why did it matter? I mean, and I've only just scratched the surface. I've read one story. So, anyway, I just wanted to share that with you as just one of the reasons that has kind of like affected my belief system.